Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is doing well. It's a nice sunny day in Southern Oregon, and got some ribs gonna go on the barbecue later on, and I really don't have any complaints today, none at all. And hope your day is doing well. as well. So today we're going to get into something that's a little bit different. I had a question out in the chat early on, and as things usually unravel on these live Q&As, we're going to get into it. But I have a bit of a disclaimer when we do. Let me bring up the question so y'all can see what I'm talking about here. We have a question from Stubbs' mom that came in early. She says, if you want to carve something that's taller or deeper than your bits can handle, can you slice the model horizontal and cut each section separately to glue together after? Well, the short answer to the long question is yes. The long answer is what we're going to get into. So before we do get into it, my disclaimer is that I personally have not cut this, okay? I have done the slice a few times in designs I've created, but I've not actually done the cut and then glued them back together. So take what I'm about to tell you with a few grains of salt. But I do have a great reference video. It's a video from Todd over at Vectric. And it was a part of, I'm going to drag this over here, bring it over here, so you can see what I'm talking about. And it is on Vectric's YouTube channel. Go over to the Live tab here and scroll back to a video that Todd did during the worldwide user group meeting back in 2020. So this is a 5, almost 6-year-old clip, a video rather. And you can see by the timer down here, it's about 1 hour. But it was live, so he was answering questions. But the thing about it is he did the design, then went out and cut it on the CNC. So you'll get the full meal deal here from Todd. And first of all, if you're not subscribed to Vectric's YouTube channel, you're really missing out. They have a lot of great content over here, and not just the usual dry tutorials that you get. Kind of like I do, you know. Get over here and subscribe to Vectric's YouTube channel and go through and check out what they've got going over here. And the same holds true for my channel as well. You've got videos, you've got shorts, you've got the live, you've got the courses they've come up with, you have playlists that involve all of the different topics that are relevant to one another. Now, since this came up during the live stream, I can't do it right now, but when we're finished with this live stream, I will put a link to this video in a pinned comment at the top of the comment section. So when you'll have to come back, give me about 10 minutes after we're done live here, you'll have to come back and you'll be able to get that link. Or you can go straight over to Vectric's YouTube channel and again, click on the live tab and scroll down back, like I say, 5 years ago during the 2020 user group meeting. And do explore. I see Kimberly says she's never explored that. Thanks. poke around, explore. You'll find all kinds of great content there, not just from the YouTube creators, but, not just from the Vectric staff, but other YouTube creators like Tim Sway and, Sammy and Corey over at Avid CNC, and Michael Tyler, who is a finishing wizard. For those of you who don't know Michael Tyler, he is the person who designed all of Vectric's free monthly projects, to include the Paradise Box, which is a kind of like a rite of passage when it comes to working with Vectric Software. If you work with Vectric Software and you have not carved the Paradise Box, you might want to get over there and create one. They are really, really awesome. And we had some mope with a mustache who designed an inlay that Todd carved and things of that nature. There is all kinds of stuff over here to explore. But again, I will put that link to the slicing video in a pinned comment as soon as we're done live here. Okay? And as usual, being the gentleman and scholar that he is, Steve has already posted a link in the chat, so you can right-click that link, open it in a new tab so you're not leaving this live stream, and keep that there ready to go when you're done with it. But we're going to get into it now and show y'all how it can be done. So, first thing we'll do is we'll get this out of the way and minimize it so I can see what's going on. All right, what we have here is well, that's not what I meant to do. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, so we have a 3D model here. And this is a baluster that I got out of the clip art right down here. And I'm in Aspire, but this works the same way in VCarve Pro. I got this baluster right here. This is not included in VCarve Pro's clip art. All right. This is just a Aspire only model. I'm doing this in Aspire just to show the process, but it works the same way in VCarve. So I've got this baluster from the clip art. I've got it out here. Now let's go over to the component tree, and I brought up the properties of this baluster. And we can see right now it is 1.5 inches tall. Okay? And I'm going to leave the dimensions the same just for this demonstration. So we're all set and ready. I got the baluster out here in my material. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select it. Oh, wait a minute. I need to do something else. If I go into job setup, we can see that my material is 3/4 of an inch tall. The shape height of this is 1.5 inches tall. So there's no way I'm going to carve this out of 3/4 inch material. So let me cancel that. Don't need to do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my baluster. I'm going to select this model, and I'm going to come down here into modeling tools to this icon right here. Slice the visible model into individual component slices. See, they've already thought of this. So I'm going to click on that icon. And now what we're looking at is we're just going to start at the top and we're going to work our way down. We're going to look at the model thickness, which is inch and a half. My material thickness is 3/4 of an inch. My slice thickness, it is recommending 0.75. Now, let's make sure that we are good on our material thickness, because this is going to matter. The best practice is to surface your material, then take a set of calipers and measure it. It's okay if there's a little bit of a variation, but it's real easy to come up here and say we've got 3/4 inch thick material, but if you don't measure it, you can't be certain. When you do your job setup, enter the actual dimensions of your material, not the nominal, it's 3/4 of an inch thick. Because what if it's 0.8 instead of 0.75? That is going to matter when we finally go to cut this, okay? So for this demonstration, we're going to assume that the actual thickness of the material is 0.75. And we're going to take our slice thickness down to 0.75, meaning when it models this, it's going to cut all the way down. It's going to cut all the way through. Okay? We won't have any little thin skins or anything to deal with. Now, we can either go by the slice thickness, or if you prefer, we can go by the number of slices. So let's say our board isn't exactly, our material isn't exactly 0.75. It's 0.753 or 0.748 or something of that nature. We can come down here and we can decide we're going to go with the number of slices, and we can increase or decrease this as we see fit. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to increase it to 3 slices. They're going to be cut a 1/2 inch. What that means is, after this gets cut, I'm going to have to flip it over and either run it through a planer or a drum sander to do the final cutout. I can't, well, I could take a small bit and do a profile cut to cut it out, but if it's cutting each slice at a 1/2 inch thick, I'm going to have a 1/4 inch of waste material on the back of each slice that I'm going to have to deal with somehow. So make sure you are prepared to do this, to deal with that extra material on the back of each slice, because you're not going to be able to just take them off of the table and just start gluing things together. That's not going to happen, okay? So I'm going to go back up and I'm going to use a slice thickness of 0.75. And the number of slices is 2. The top slice thickness is 0.75. Now, my slice heights here, I can change them if I'd like. Right here is a slice thickness of 0.75. That's fine. I can grab a hold of this little red thing here, this little red line, and I can, I can grab it and move. Okay. I'm going to have to do this. I can say 0.74 or 0.735. What I would prefer to do is go 0.74. Then click Apply. Now, the reason for that is I'll show you the reason for that when we get over here into material setup. I want to go with 0.74. And I'll explain why when we get over here. Do I want to create boundary vectors? Yes, I want to create boundary vectors. That's going to create a vector around this. That's for my machining strategy. We'll get into that in just a minute. Then I'm going to come down here. Now in the 3D view, I can double click to set the selected slice height. A shift double click would be to add a new slice height, and shift and run the mouse wheel to modify the current slice. And what we're talking about is over here. We can see what this looks like. Let me rotate this. And we see brown and we see green. The brown is our first slice. The green is our second slice. So we can see we've got a pretty small piece right here. We're going to have to watch this. This may decide to chip. If that's the case, we might want to either bring this up or down. I don't want to bring it up, but let's bring it down just a little bit. And we'll apply that. Now we've got a little bit wider piece. That's okay. I can deal with that. I think that'll work out. That might still be a little bit thin, but I think I can work with this. Okay? What we do need to make sure of is if we have something over here like this, if my slice is too high, I don't want that hanging in the breeze. I don't want that to come loose and be a separate piece, a separate chunk to fall off. So we need to look and make sure our slices, we're going to have some material like down in here to make sure these two pieces here stay connected. All right? So that's the big thing that we're going to have to worry about. We're going to have to make sure we get that correct. Now, jump back to the top here and zoom in a little bit. What we're talking about over here is we can double click the green to select that slice height. I don't want to do that. Okay? What I can do is hold down shift and use my mouse wheel to change that slice height. You see what that's doing? I can kind of do that right there to make sure, again, all these pieces stay together. But if I go too far, I've got two free pieces right here that are just going to come loose. I don't want that. So I'm going to hold down shift and back it up a little bit so that I don't have any green on here. So this will all be one piece after the slice is done. It's okay if this is loose from this, because these are large enough pieces to where they're not going to fall apart. It's not going to fall apart, rather. Okay. I think we're all set there. So now, let me come back out to the 2D view because you'll get a better view of what's going to happen. And I can slice the model. So now what has happened is, oops, I have this section here and this section here. These are going to be sliced free. So now I can select this, hold down shift, select the vectors, click one more time to put them into move and transform mode, slide it off, straight to the side. Now I have my slice pieces and I have my boundary vectors. Let's take a look at it in the 3D view and we see what I have here. Okay? If I turn off the vectors here, see what we've got. Jump back over to the 2D view. Let me see. I think these vectors... Okay, those vectors stay there. Okay. These vectors here on the top and these vectors here on the bottom are for my machining strategy. These vectors here are also for my machining strategy. So now what I need to do, let's select all of them. One more click. I'm going to drag them over to the center. Okay. Now, I obviously my material is way too big. I didn't count on... I thought it was going to slice into more slices. So, our 3D view looks good. Everything looks all right. Zip back over to the top. I'm going to use the 2D view because I want to select the vectors. Now we're going to go into material setup. And this is where we get into the 0.74. Now it's saying, wait a minute, the model thickness is 0.2. So is there something else I didn't do? Let's go back over and we'll go into the 3D view and we're going to check. Now if I select this, this is all good here. But if I look, this is more than one component. So what I have to do is come over here to the Components tab, and I have to turn off the visibility of the original baluster. Because what it's trying to do, it's showing me the original baluster and the slice. The combined mode of all of these components is add. So it's taking that original baluster and it's adding the slice on top of it. Because remember, it models from the bottom up. So I have to come over here, turn off the original baluster. Now I have just my two slices. That's all I've got. Okay? So it's important after you slice, come back over here to the component tree. Let's just click the Components tab and turn off the original baluster. Uncheck this right here. Now, back to the Design tab. Let's jump back over here. Cancel that. Since everything is updated, now I can go into my material setup and we still see the model thickness exceeds the material thickness. Well, let's go set this model thickness. Let's close that. Why is my model thickness still more than my material thickness? Well, let's cancel that and find out. We're going to click this and we're going to come look at the total size right here, 0.7082. So we're well within the thickness there. Let's select this one and let's look at the height, 0.7918. Where did we get that? Where did we get that? Is it this block right here? I think it's that block right there. How did that happen? How did that happen? Let's go back and take a look. I love it when it throws me problems. Let's go back over and take a look. I'm going to go back into the component tree. I'm going to turn the original baluster back on. I'm going to turn off the slices. Whoops, wrong one. I'm going to turn off the slices. Now let's take that original baluster and let's take a look at, come on. All right, there we go. There we go. Now the height is 1.5. If I split that into 2.74 shape heights, where am I getting that additional height from? I love it when it throws me problems like this. Let's turn that off and turn the slices back on. And let's check our shape height. How am I getting 0.7918? I'm hesitant to change the model height. Let's take a look. See what happens when I do that. 0.75. Now, I'm hesitant to do that because I want this and this, well, I want all of it to match up with this. If it was just the block, I'm fine. But if it changed the overall height, I run the risk of changing these measurements here. Maria's asking, do you have to right-click on the model to make those heights visible? No. In the 3D view, you just click on it, and then we're looking at these symbols right here, okay? Drag that around. Let's go from the top. I have this selected, and I have these three symbols here. This is the overall height. This is the shape height. This is the base height. So if we're looking at slice 2, if I right-click and go into properties, it's showing me this here and this here and the overall height of both of these added together. Okay? Now if I Control Z to undo that change, now I have 0.7918 and I don't understand where. What I think it is the top and bottom blocks. Let me close this. Let me turn on the baluster, turn off the two slices, and we're going to take a look at the top and bottom blocks. Right click, it's not going to let me. These are somehow tied together. But if I look at the properties of both together, I still have a shape height of 1.5. But it's not letting me check the properties of the top and bottom blocks by themselves. Aha! There we go, 0.12549. The top and bottom blocks are the 1.5. It still doesn't explain why that all of a sudden changes when I do this. That still doesn't explain why I have that shape height, the 0.7918. I think it's just this model. I really do. I think it is just this model. So if I adjust this to 0.74 that we wanted, let it catch up, close, we'll select this, and I'm going to leave that alone, 0.7082. Oh, it didn't slice it evenly. Okay. That's what it is. It didn't slice it evenly. Well, let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to undo this. We're going to delete that slice. We're going to delete that slice, and we're going to go back into our slice, and we're going to try that again. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to turn on the baluster. Turn on the baluster. Back into the design tab, and I'm going to get rid of these vectors. Select everything, hold down shift, click off on the model, and delete those vectors. We're going to start over again. Now I'm not seeing the blocks, but they're in there. We'll go back to layer 1. We're going to delete layers. Delete, and we're back into layer 1. So we're right back where we started from. Let's try this again. We're going to go down to slice. And I'm going to go straight down into slice thicknesses. I'm going to change this into 0.74. I played around with it too much and confused myself. We're going to go with 0.74. We are going to create boundary vectors. We're going to come down here, 0.74, hit enter. All right, there we are. Okay. Then we're going to come here. We're going to slice the model. All right. We got the 3D view. Come into the component tree. We're going to shut off the baluster. Now, what this did by doing this, it made 3 slices. I'm going to my 2D view here. Now I'm going to go into the 3D view and I'm going to take a look at this. It did. It took the top blocks and made them 1 slice. Okay. So, take that, put it into move and transform mode. This is what I wanted. I'm going to drag those blocks up here. I don't necessarily need them, but okay. Then I'm going to take the next slice and I'm going to move it over here. These slices contain my models. When you change the second model to get rid of the point, did you add height to the second? No, I did not. Not intentionally. Turns out this is something that endemic with this model, but it is something that you're likely to run into. It has to do with these end blocks and their overall height. Now you can see this is the problem area that I was having. And the shape height is 0.02. So 20 thousandths of an inch was what was throwing me off. Shape height on this one is 0.74. Shape height on this one is 0.74. So we're good to go here. I don't want these. That is slice 3. We're going to delete it. Shaboom. Now I have my slices. Go over to the 2D view. Oh, I didn't move the vectors, by Godfrey. That's okay. And you know what I think I'm going to do? Whoop, I had it. Shaboom. All right, there we are. That is the other blocks. Delete them. I got those there. And drag that down. Nope, I need to go that right there. Now I need to slip off to the side. Too much. There we go. Right on. Okay. So now I got the vectors correct, and that's a lesson, I think, for all of us. And that is to make sure you move your vectors along with your slices. Just to make sure, go back to my design tab. I'm going to shift on or click on the component, hold down shift, select the vectors. And I want to come down here and center the objects on the last selected object. So I'm centering the vectors on this model. And we'll come here, we'll do the same thing. Click on the model, hold down shift, select the vectors, and we're going to center. All right, I did pretty good by eye. Not bad. Here I have the issue with this again. It may or may not work. We're going to try it. We're going to try it. Now we shoot over here and we're going to material setup. Now we can see that I have thickness of the materials 3/4 inch. Yes. We're zeroing to the material surface. Yes. Now, because my model position is all the way down to the bottom, I have 0.1 gap above the model. Meaning, because I went 0.74 for my slice thickness, when I go to calculate my roughing and my finishing tool paths, my gap above the model will be 0.01. It will have to carve through that 10,000ths of an inch of material before it gets down to the actual model. The reason I want that is because if I didn't have this gap, I would probably end up with a flat spot here, here, or here, possibly here. The potential is there. So I always make certain to arrange my models so that I have a minimum of 10,000ths of an inch before it actually starts carving the model. It can be more, and sometimes it is more. I've had up to, I think I've had up to a little over 1/4 inch at times. But I want a minimum of 10,000ths of an inch of material above the model. So it has to carve through that before it gets to the model. So we're all set now. Everything looks good. So we'll click OK. Now, because this is all one piece of material, I can select everything. Model and the vectors. And I want to make sure that I do that. Now I'm going to go over here for the roughing toolpath. Now, another thing I have not done that I should do. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to go back over into my clip art again. And I'm going to go to 3D tabs. I want 3D tabs. Circular 1/4 inch is okay. I'm going to just double click and put one out here. Okay, and go back out to Design tab. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, or excuse me, hold down Control, click and drag a tab. I'm going to put it right there. Then I'm going to hold down Control again, click and drag another one right there. Then I'm going to hold down Shift, hold down Control again. I'm going to drag one down here. And using the number 9 on my keyboard, right above the letters, not over on the side on the keypad, I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees. I'm going to drag it up inside that block right there. Then I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to drag another one straight up to right there. Then I'm going to hold down, select both of these, hold down Shift. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to click on that one, hold down Shift, click on that one. Click one more time to put them both into Move and Transform mode. Hold down Control, drag them straight across, and put them right there. Now this is a little bit trickier because I got some outside curves here where I need the tabs. So there will be some cleanup, and that is a major problem. Down here, not so much. I can click on this, put it into Move and Transform mode, hold down Control, drag a tab down here, and again using number 9 on my keyboard, rotate it, and drag it right there. Here I'm going to have nothing but a mess no matter what I do. I'm really going to have a mess. Probably the easiest way would be put it into Move and Transform mode, hold down Control. Holding down Control while you click and drag creates copies. I'm going to put one right here. Let go of everything, hold down Control, click and drag another one over here. That'll should save this piece. It may not. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to select this one, click, hold down Control, and drag one right here. Let go of everything, hold down Control, click and drag one straight across over here. That'll save this piece. This is where we have strategy to worry about. I'm worried about this piece, but we'll see. So, Rich Bratcher says, using these clip art dowels as tabs on two-sided carves is great. Easy way to add tabs. Been using them on my bunkers. Rich has made some fish bunkers. Rich is one heck of a fisherman that has a killer boat. But he makes fish bunkers for the big ones that like to flop around on the boat and might hurt somebody. But he makes them to look like Pacific Northwest Native American style. And they really look cool. They really look cool. Rich, you're more of an artist than you think, man. You do excellent work. Anyhow, so now we have our tabs in place. I think this will hold. We'll try it and see. Now we can go back over. I don't need this anymore. I can delete it. I've got my 3D tabs in place. Jump back over here. We've already done material setup. We're all good. I'm going to select everything. Vectors, models, everything. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do roughing toolpath. We're going to use a beast roughing end mill. 1/4 inch upcut roughing bit. And this thing is a beast. It lives up to its name. I'm going to use the selected vectors as my machine limit boundary. That's why we made these vectors. And that's not going to work because now it's going to cut away my dowels. I'm glad to run into these problems while we're live here. I'm going to select everything again. Hold down Shift and deselect all of the models. I just want the vectors selected. Okay, so I only have the vector selected. I'm going to tap the letter U on my keyboard to ungroup those vectors. Okay. Yep, there's nothing there I need to keep. Everything. Yes, I do need to keep some. Okay. I'm going to come along and I'm going to select all of these external vectors, delete them. Boom. 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 Now I can leave the blocks. Nope, I'm not going to leave the blocks. Boom. Boom. I have to keep that one. I have to keep those. Okay. I have to keep those. All right. The reason that I wanted to get rid of those is because I have tabs here. Now, I want to select the models. And I'm going to create a vector boundary around the selected components. So now I have vectors around the outsides to include the tabs. Same thing. Shaboom. All right, now we're set. Now, I want to select everything, come over, and we're going to try this again. I'm going to go to the selected vectors. Okay? Boundary offset. My boundary offset, meaning where the bit is actually going to cut around each item. I'm going to make a boundary offset that's equal to the diameter of the bit. So we're looking at 0.25. My machining allowance, that is how close is this 1/4 inch bit going to get to the model. I have it set at 0.03. I'm going to go with 0.04 because this is a very aggressive end mill. And I don't want it to get too close to the model. So it's going to machine away all of the material down to 0.4 above or away to the side of the actual model, so it won't touch it. My strategy, my grain runs this direction. I want it to go to 45-degree angle. I tend to get a better finish out of it that way. And we're just going to call it 3D roughing. We're going to calculate. Okay. And we're going to preview that toolpath. Oops, nope, that was a mistake. I should not have done that with the vectors because now it's cutting out the tabs. That was a mistake. All right. It's been a while since I've done this. Reset preview, close. Then we're going to go back and we're going to undo those vector changes. Let's see. Edit, undo, create boundary, undo, create boundary, undo, delete, undo, delete. That should bring back, undo, delete. That should bring back those vectors. Undo, delete. There we go. We're getting them back. Undo, delete. Okay. And we got our vectors back. Undo, ungroup vectors. Okay, there we are. We're good. All right. Let's try this again, rabbit. Select it all. Well, I'm going to have to select it all again anyway. Into our 3D roughing toolpath. Now we'll calculate. Now we'll preview. Hey, there we go. All right. It didn't cut through the tabs. Terrific. Whew. All right. Now we're going to close out of our preview. I'm going to center this a little bit better. I'm going to go into a finishing toolpath. I'm going to get rid of that bit. We're using a 1/8 inch tapered ball nose. Then I'm going to select a 1/16 inch tapered ball nose. Now, because I have done a roughing toolpath, what I can do is I can bump up my plunge rate to match my feed rate. I do not want to do that here because that'll change the plunge rate and feed rate in the tool database. I don't want to do that. I just want to select that bit. Now I can come back, select my 1/8 inch ball nose, edit. Now I can set my feed rate and plunge rate to be the exact same. I'm only removing 40 thousandths of an inch of material. That is perfectly manageable with this bit. So we'll select OK. Now we'll come back and we'll look at this, edit. Now I can change this to match the feed rate of this bit. And this changes the plunge rate in this tool path only. It will not change it in any other tool path. We'll click OK. Now this is called rest machining. So I've had a few people ask me about rest machining in version 12 and up. This started, I want to say, in version 11.5, but I may be mistaken. The old way of doing rest machining is now obsolete. It does not work. When they allowed us to select more than one bit up here, they incorporated rest machining into the toolpath. So the old way of doing it is obsolete. We no longer need to worry about rest machining, except right here. Okay? Now, our machine limit boundary is the selected vectors. Again, I want a boundary offset equal to my bit's diameter. That's going to be my 1/8 inch bit. So I'm going to put a boundary offset equal to 0.125. Now when it comes to rest machining down here, we're looking at minimum detail. And that is how closely it's going to follow this. Our minimum detail is 1.5 thousandths. That is minuscule. It's going to hug tight to all of these contours. But I do still want to put a boundary offset of 0.125. What that means is the bit's going to come out away from the model 0.125 when it cuts. That's to make sure that we get any material that we're machining away that far away from the actual model, so it comes out cleanly. Again, I'm going to use a raster pattern, and with a raster angle of 45 degrees. And I'm going to call it 3D Finish, and we're going to calculate it. Okay, now you can see I've got both my clearance and my finishing pass. Well, I've got the finish pass selected, but both of them are visible out here. So what I want to do is I'm going to turn off that one. So we're only looking at the 1/8 inch bit, and we can see what it's going to carve. It's going to take care of everything. Well, almost everything. Now I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn on the finish. We can see right here that the tiny bit, the 16th inch tapered ball nose, is not going to recarve the whole model. It's just going to come in and take care of the details that that 1/8 inch bit couldn't actually reach. So we're going to undraw that. We're going to select the clearance pass with the 1/8 inch bit, and we're going to preview that. And it did it nice and smooth, but now I see another problem. If we look up here on these blocks, it only carved this away. It did not carve out everything. So let me back up here. And let me take a look at my 2D view and see what I have going. Why didn't it carve all of this? It should only carve to here. It should only carve down to this vector. That has to do, let's go back over here to the 3D view. That has to do with the boundary offset that I put in. So we're going to undo last. Take a look, and we're down here to the roughing toolpath again. I'm going to go back into this toolpath here, and I'm going to remove that boundary offset. 0.0. Come down here, and I'm going to remove this boundary offset. 0.0. Normally, when you are just cutting the outside and you're not worried about cutting to the inside right here, you would add a boundary offset. But since we're cutting between vectors, let me turn my vectors on here. Since we're cutting between this vector and this vector, we don't want a boundary offset. Zoom back out. Turn off my vectors. And that's the only change I'm going to make. I'm going to get rid of the boundary offset here and the boundary offset here. And I'm going to calculate. Now we're going to try again. Now we'll preview this one first. Now, Marie has a question here. So it's only going to carve the dark blue areas. Yes. Again, we get into, let's do one at a time. We're looking at the 1/8 inch bit, what it's going to cut. So we'll zoom in here and we'll look. And the thing to remember is how to read these tool paths. All of the red lines are a rapid move. That's when the bit is up out of the material and it's moving over to make a cut. Or return to home, whichever. The light blue lines are plunges. That's a plunge move where it's dropping down to start carving. The green lines are retracts. It's finished carving here, and it's going to run over here, wrap it over here, and plunge to start carving here. Okay? The dark blue is the actual cut. That's where it's going to carve. So if we look at the difference here, we can see that the 1/8 inch bit is going to carve the majority of the contour. Then we turn that off, turn this one on, and we can see the red rapid moves, the light blue plunges, and the green retracts. And we can see the dark blue here. That's all it's going to cut. It's going to get those details that 1/8 inch bit couldn't cut. So when we look at both of them together, we can see the whole thing is being carved. So Let's turn these off. Move this into position. Now we'll preview that first toolpath. Then we'll preview this second toolpath. And all is well. Oops, I got a few, still have a few here. That's because I did a boundary offset with the roughing toolpath. Yep, that's a boundary offset from the roughing toolpath. So I will need to go in and redo that. Reset preview. 3D roughing. Take off the boundary offset. Calculate. Much better. Let's preview all toolpaths. I still get that line right there, and I don't know why. Oh, what a pain you're being. Or is that a vector? No, that's not a vector. Still have that line there, and I don't know why. Now, another way of cheating this, Miss Carrie, if I haven't lost you already. Ah, I see what's going on. It's not cutting out the blocks. I see what's going on. This wasn't the best model to preview. Not at all. So if I haven't lost you, Miss Carrie, another way of handling this is, especially here, because something like this, we're running into areas where it's possible you might still have an issue with your bit dragging along the side here where it doesn't have a cutting area. Another thing you can do, let me go back over here. We're going to close out of here. We're going to shoot over here, go into the 2D view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle. Say about here. Over to there. Make that a little bit shorter. Hello, I say. Close. Control Z. There we go, about like so. Close. If we still have the possibility of a bit hitting these things here, or bit hitting something, a sidewall, or getting in and ruining the model because it can't get in there without maybe your collet hitting or something like that. You can come in here, hold down Shift, select this vector, select that vector. And with this selected, we're going to do a pocket toolpath. I'm going to use 1/4 inch end mill. My material is 3/4 of an inch thick. I want half of that, so I want 0.375. With the 2 flute end mill, we're going to do a raster. 0 degrees, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to pocket out around it. Uh-oh, I had the inside vector selected. I can't do that. Let's close that. Undraw that. back into the 2D view. Ah, there's your problem. Okay. Select U to ungroup. U to ungroup. I just want the outside vectors. 1. Hold down Shift. 2. 3. 4. Yep, that's it. Nope, I want these others too. Hold down Shift. Outside. Outside. Yes. Okay, that's going to work. All right, so got to select those again. Outside. Outside. And we are all set. Okay, I want a pocket around those. There we go. So we're going to reset the preview. I'm going to move this up to the top, the pocket, all the way to the top. So I want to pocket that first. So that carves that out. Now I want to do the roughing toolpath. And that carves that out. Now I want to do the 1/8 inch bit finish. That carves that out. Then I want to do my finish, and that carves that. So what I did was I pocketed around, and you can see looking at my readouts down here, I'm already down 3/8 of an inch. So I've carved all this away, so that now my bit can get down in here and it can carve around the actual model itself. I did not carve into the model with that pocket. I let the roughing bit and the finishing bit do all the heavy lifting. So that was the long answer to your short question, Carrie. Yes, you can reset preview, close. Yes, you can cut a model, slice a model rather, so that if you have a thick model, in this case 1.5 inches, you can slice it into 2 slices that will easily fit the thickness of your material. And then use other methods to resolve issues. This is especially true when we're working with small bits. Now, if you're using something like an 1/8 inch end mill, some 1/8 inch end mills just are not capable of carving more than, say, 5/8 of an inch deep, because that's what their flute length is. The cutting edge of a bit determines how thick, how deep that can cut. So if you have something like this tapered ball nose, the flute length on this tapered ball nose is pretty tall. So it'll cut pretty deep. In fact, let's measure. It will cut about, come on, stay put. It'll cut about 1 3/8 deep, or about 33 millimeters. No, 33 centimeters. No, not 33 centimeters. Yeah, 33 millimeters. So, but if the flute's end right here, I can't cut any deeper than that. If I let the shaft rub against the side wall, we're in deep trouble, because that shaft rubbing against that side wall, number one, if it makes an X move, it'll try to shift the material over, because there's nothing to cut through. If it tries to make a Y move, when it's up against that sidewall, it's going to try to move the entire piece. Without a cutting edge on it, the friction building up can start a fire. The least of your problems will be breaking the bit or just destroying the project because it cut through something it wasn't supposed to cut. The most of your problems could be a fire. And if you doubt that, there are videos on YouTube where people have done exactly that. They've left their CNCs unattended, went off and did something, and something caused the material to break free or something like that, and now you have edges or pieces of material rubbing against that shaft of that bit. And believe me, when it's running at 12, 14, 16, 18,000 RPMs, it'll build up enough friction to start a fire. So, number one, don't leave your machine unattended when it's running. And number two, don't try to cut deeper than the flute length of the bit that you're using for that project. So, again, the short answer to the long question is yes, you can split models. You can slice models. And again, I will put a link to the Vectric live video from the 2020 user group meeting where Todd took the head of a gorilla and sliced it into, I think, 4 or 5 slices and did a much better job of me than I did of explaining the entire process. Let's see. Rich is asking, did you plan on cutting through the dowels on the right model? No, I did not plan on cutting through those. If it did that, that was my mistake. Miss Carey says, it's good to see how you resolve the issues. I'd have no idea where to start looking for those answers. Your detective work is a big help. That comes with, number one, paying attention. Number two, experience in messing up many, many models and messing up many, many processes. For instance, discovering that the boundary offset was causing me grief. That comes from having a boundary offset mess up other projects. So I knew where to look. You know, it's simply making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. The detective work sometimes comes along by accident. Sometimes it was planned that way. Other times it's just, why is it doing this? Let's go find the source. And what can you say? Jay Scotia, longtime subscriber, just became a channel member. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Dwayne Ruthig says, one upgrade to this project would be make it two-sided and add alignment dowel holes. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I just wasn't in a position. I'm just not in a position right now to do that. We've already gone an hour and a half. We'll talk later, Dwayne. Speaking of Dwayne, next Sunday, this was a suggestion from 8th Sinner. He asked a question a couple weeks back. He 8th Sinner comes up with some good questions. Some of them are way over my head. If you have ever seen any of his work, which he doesn't really show pictures. He has emailed me pictures, and I'm like, why are you even following me, man? You are way over my skill level, way over my head. Anyway, he comes up with good questions. He comes up with good suggestions. A couple weeks ago, he asked about thread milling, something I would love to get into. And I happen to know somebody who has done a lot of thread milling, and that's Dwayne Ruthig. He's out there in the chat right now. So next Sunday, Dwayne Ruthig is going to be my guest, and we're going to get into thread milling, cutting outside threads and cutting inside threads. Dwayne has done a number of wooden nuts and bolts and has sent me one. So he's very well versed in this. Like a dummy, I should have brought it out so I could show it off. I'll show it off next week. So he is well versed in cutting threads. He's also well versed in slicing models, but we'll get into that another time. So next week, my guest will be Dwayne Ruthig, and we're going to talk about thread milling on the CNC, both inside and outside threads. Same bat time, same bat channel, and thank you, Dwayne, for doing this. And we're going to discuss that as well. The whole thing is the process. The process is the same no matter how deep you want to go, with a couple of exceptions. More on that next week. Tomorrow, channel members, I'm working on something in the background. If it comes together, fingers crossed, all of y'all, knock on painted wood. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be, but it's going to be good. A lot of people have asked about this, and I know there's going to be a great response to this. Dave, you might get your questions answered. In fact, you will get your questions answered if it comes together. Everybody keep your fingers crossed. You don't look at me, Maurice, I won't look at you. Anyhow, that's tomorrow on the members only live stream. Jay Scotia, welcome to the channel membership. Members only live streams are Mondays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. I will post a link on the posts tab on my YouTube channel later on this afternoon. And you'll find it on the post tab. If you have your email notifications set up, meaning click that bell and hit all notifications, you will be notified when I post it, and you'll see the link right there. We also do a Thursday evening 3D printing live stream. This coming week it's going to be on Wednesday, but normally it's on Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We also do a regular Saturday BS Zoom call, Saturday evenings, 5-ish, depending upon when dinner's ready. Pacific, 8-ish, depending upon when dinner's ready. Eastern. It's just a relaxed, hanging over the back fence with a glass of iced tea type of Zoom call. It is not recorded. It is not broadcast. It's just neighbors hanging over the fence, shooting bull back and forth with each other. We talk about anything and everything from cars to military experience to barbecue to laser and 3D printing and CNC if we want to get into that. But more often not, it's just a general casual bull session. That's all part of one of the perks of channel membership. The other is our WhatsApp group. If you'd like to join our WhatsApp group, WhatsApp is not social media. It is a chat utility that is encrypted from end to end. So you can use your phone or you can use your desktop. I'm on there from my desktop computer. The overwhelming majority of my channel members are in that WhatsApp group. Not all of them. Come on, y'all. What's hanging you up here? And we have a great time. It's just It's casual. It's fun. Pictures going back and forth. Help with projects. There's not an ego amongst these folks. They're all 100% dedicated to making sure we all succeed. That's just part of the personal thing, personal perks that comes along with channel membership. And I highly encourage you to join. Shoot me an email and we'll make it happen. Again, next Sunday, Dwayne Ruthig will be my special guest. We're going to talk about thread milling, inside threads and outside threads, and we'll get it all together. Thank you all very much for spending part of your Sunday with me. I have a lot of fun with these. This was episode 350 live Q&A sessions on Sundays. My first live Q&A session was on August 18th, 2019. So we've been doing this for a little bit, and all y'all make it happen. This has never been about me. It's always been about you, helping you out, helping you folks to see that none of this is over your head. All it takes is a little bit of dedication to getting into the software and using it. There are no secrets. There are no mysteries. It's 100% experience. And the only way to get that experience is to do it. So, thank you once again. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Steve. Time flies when you're having fun. And we've missed a few weekends. I mean, it hasn't been every single Saturday, or we'd have hit 350 a while back. But 350 weekly live streams. Y'all, it's been a lot of fun. And we're going to keep going until YouTube tells me I can't, or until I assume room temperature, whichever comes first. So, hope to see you all next Sunday, channel members. Hope to see you tomorrow evening. Until then, y'all take care. Have a great rest of your day.